Please excuse the long and slightly ranty post brought to you by freedom, rum, and the first real sense of clarity I'd had in years. I'm a 49-year-old man, married to my 46-year-old wife for 15 years. We have 2 teenage boys, 16 and 13. If you're doing the math, our oldest was a surprise, and that surprise fast-tracked us into marriage. From the outside, we look like a perfectly put-together family. We've got the house in the nice neighborhood, the 3 cars in the driveway, 2 dogs running around the yard, and way too much stuff in general. My wife's Instagram is a steady stream of smiling photos, family dinners, holiday snapshots, weekend getaways. Our lives are filtered and captioned to look like some kind of lifestyle brand. #grateful, #blessed, #family first, or whatever the trending tag is this week. But inside our home, behind the curated images, there's nothing but distance, silence, and hurt. No love, no affection, no intimacy, not even basic kindness. Just constant criticism, endless expectations I somehow never manage to meet, and a suffocating sense of failure that hangs over me like a second skin. I'm in therapy for depression. Our youngest is in therapy too, dealing with anxiety and his own struggles. Only close family members know about it. My wife insisted we get help in a larger town an hour away, so nobody local would find out. Can't risk damaging the image, right? Both therapists, mine and my sons, have tried to involve her, encouraged her to engage in the healing process. She refuses. Every time. Because in her mind, there's nothing wrong with her. She's not the problem. Everything is always her way or the highway. And trust me, she reminds me often that if I ever try to leave, or if I cheat, she'll make sure I lose everything: our home, my financial stability, and even access to my children. I hear some version of this threat at least once a week, usually after I fail to do something to her ever-changing, impossibly high standards. At home, are not even referred to by name anymore. I'm just you, or sometimes your father, when she's complaining to the kids. You need to do this. Your father is being stupid again. That's who I am now. A target, a scapegoat, a cautionary tale. The slow erosion started not long after our youngest was born. First, the physical affection faded, sex became rare, then non-existent. Then the warmth disappeared, no more casual touches, no spontaneous kisses, no comfort when I was down. Eventually, even basic respect vanished. What's left now is something transactional. I exist to fulfill her checklist. To clean, to cook, to chauffeur, to earn, to post her family pictures, and shut up. Early on, I begged for couples counseling. I was told that I was the problem, that I needed fixing. When my depression was formally diagnosed, it became just one more weapon for her to use against me. Anytime I express unhappiness, even in the smallest ways, it turns into a fight. If I say I'm overwhelmed or having a bad day, I get a lecture or a guilt trip about how I'm not working hard enough on myself. So I stopped talking. I went quiet. I buried everything and just went through the motions. For the past 7 or 8 years, I've been existing in a fog, a kind of emotional purgatory, trying to manage my depression, adjusting to different medications, carrying the weight of a failing marriage, a demanding home life, a full-time job, and the exhausting performance of being okay in public. Meanwhile, my wife continues dragging me along to whatever new event, vacation, or outing she decides we need to do, because there's always another post to make, another performance to keep up for the world. And through all of that, I've been quietly, privately unraveling. Then came the quarantine. Because of my job, I still needed to go into work once or twice a week. With both kids having childhood asthma, my wife insisted I move out for the sake of the family. I agreed. It made sense. Better to be safe. Her plan was for me to pay for a hotel and stay there indefinitely. I was fine with that too, honestly. Anything to get some breathing room. But when her sister and brother-in-law heard about my situation, they reached out and invited me to stay with them in the larger town nearby. I declined politely at first, but that alone triggered an angry phone call from my wife. Apparently, saying no made her look bad. She told me to just stay with them if they were offering, so I did. And that's when everything started to shift. I've always liked my in-laws, even though we don't see them often. My wife keeps them at arm's length, saying they're a bad influence. I never really understood what she meant. But now, After living with them for a few weeks, I finally get it. They're kind to each other. They laugh. They cook dinner together. They talk about their days. They treat each other like partners, like people. And a coin that day after day is slowly breaking me open in a way I didn't expect. It's reminding me what normal looks like, what love looks like, what respect looks like. And it's forcing me to face how deeply broken my marriage is and how badly I've been treated for so long. I spent years believing I was the problem, that I deserved the way I was being treated, that if I could just work harder, be better, fix myself, everything would get better. But now I'm starting to understand the truth. Despite my flaws, despite my struggles, I don't deserve to be treated like this. And I'm done. I'm not going back to that cage. I've accepted that my wife won't change, that she doesn't want to change, and that nothing will ever improve if I stay. So I've started the process of getting out. I've scheduled a virtual session with my therapist tomorrow. I'll be looking into legal separation, researching divorce lawyers, and checking out rental listings in the area. I have a list of calls to make, a plan starting to take shape. I'm scared, terrified, honestly. I have no illusions about how ugly this might get. I know she'll try to hurt me financially and emotionally. I know I may have to fight tooth and nail for time with my kids. But even with all that ahead of me, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Hope. For the first time in a long time, I believe there's a way out, a path towards something healthier, toward peace, maybe even happiness. I don't know what my future looks like yet, but I know this: it won't include being treated like a failure, a burden, or a punching bag. Thanks for reading. Thanks for letting me say this out loud. It's more than a rant. It's the beginning of something new. And update, another very long and rambling ranty one from me. Oh, it starts off nicely enough, but I've just been given a huge eye-opener and I'm unreasonably angry today. Still living with my sis-in-law, her husband, because I needed to leave home because of the virus and a possible threat to my son's health if I got the plague at work. I'm still getting eternal shit for that over the phone. You went whining to my sister and made me look bad, etc., etc. But no, I have the text from my sis-in-law that says, "Your family, you shouldn't have to live in a hotel. You can come stay with us until COVID is over." Plus my polite no thank you in return, and the fact that the last text I even answered from my sis-in-law was her happy birthday message way back in February. I've now been ordered to go home by my wife on the 15th, and I'm dreading it. Don't want to, but I have to. Got a new phone, new laptop, both looked with something my wife would never guess. That will cause drama, and probably a screaming fight and more threats of divorce from her. I'm standing firm on this issue, and if need be telling her it's a new work directive that I can't break or I could lose my job. No more letting her be the electronics control freak. Found a good lawyer who was willing to do video meetings. The initial free consultation went really well, and the guy gave me a week to arrange a way to pay him the retainer in a way my wife wouldn't notice, pointed me to ways of how to do that. Then the lawyer started me on a project combing through my old texts from my wife, saving copies of the insults and demands, the times she bad-mouthed our youngest and his mental issues. Unfortunately, I never saved my voicemails in the past, but I'm starting to. The courts aren't open right now. Nobody knows for sure when they'll reopen, so until then, I was advised by my lawyer to return home as ordered. Just until I can file the papers and have my wife served with them. Got lots of advice from my lawyer on how to deal with her and avoid being alone with my wife, how to properly record and document our interactions for later in court. So far so good, and today I was starting on the second project my lawyer gave me, gathering what copies I could from online of documents on our financial situation and the contributions of both my wife and I to the family money. Me, 100%. She has nothing but a 20-hour-a-week side job, or so I thought. And then I was blindsided by several things. First, my sis-in-law revealed that she'd overheard some of my last conversation with my lawyer yesterday. First thing she did was tell me, "Don't panic, I'm not saying a word, I'm happy for you. My sister treats you like crap, and I hate how she keeps the boys away from us too much. We're their only family. So you go get divorced with my blessing, But don't let my sister rip you off on alimony, because she and I are rich from inheritance and I'm pine. Sorry I haven't told you, but please don't tell her I told you. And your boys get to split my half with my stepkids when I die, so they won't ever lot for anything in life. And I'm gifting them both any college money they need as the graduation present from auntie. So you're off the hook for that too. And I bet my sister didn't tell you that either, but she knew. That's been my plan from day one, to pay AIF all the college stuff for my nephews and stepdaughters. She dropped a huge bombshell on me, something I never knew. Both my wife and sis-in-law are recently loaded with cash and property from a great uncle who passed in 2016. The man left them everything he earned, roughly $500,000 liquid each, and 3 commercial properties in the south worth a few millions. They both received full access to these funds summer of 2017. It was a huge surprise. They never knew the man personally, only knew that he existed, but it turns out they were his only living relatives and got everything. My wife hid all of this from me. Turns out the women both set up a tax-sheltered trust for themselves, so after initial taxing and probate was paid, they'd never have to give the government any major amount again, maybe half pennies on the dollar. They rent the properties and have a loan against a portion of the value of them that they play the stock market with. They've made some good scores the past couple years, and this latest up and down stock market panic made them a lot of new money too, set for life, the both of them. My sis-in-law was threatened with never seeing her nephews again if she told me, so she kept quiet for that reason, but angrily. And it's yet another reason my wife used the bullshit bad influence excuse to keep us distant from the in-laws. I guess my wife couldn't risk something accidentally slipping out about her money. Her money. That pisses me off so much. We've been struggling trying to keep current with the third car payment this year. My company cut off the bonus program we had, and that was where all our extra cash came from. Every time I suggested we sell the superfluous car, my wife threw a total fit at me. Sure, I get that it was supposed to be our oldest son's vehicle when he gets his license, and I wasn't planning to dash his hopes of having his own wheels, but a teenager does not need a brand new car. We could have sold the money pit new one and still bought him a decent used one, even with the drop in my income. Then it turns out my wife has a debit card I didn't know about and the right to use a substantial amount of money per month on that card without reporting it to the IRS as income. She could have paid the third car payment herself, plus insurance, and still had plenty left over. Her monthly trust income is even more than enough for our house payment, plus the third car. She has never once offered it up. Apparently that's my responsibility alone. Before the chat with sis-in-law, I was sitting here going through the finances, realizing that as main support, with all the bills on me, that if/when my wife takes the house and everything else, I will be lucky if I can even afford an apartment to live in. That's just the bills, without any child support added in. I was expecting to end up broke and in debt, forever supporting my family after divorce, and it turns out there's absolutely no reason I have to. My wife can actually support herself and our children without me. So I'm raging mad after the conversation with sis-in-law, and she said, "Dude, I'm taking off to do stuff. I think you need a loan in the house peaceful time. Please don't drink all my good cider, okay? Or just text me if you do, I'll get more." The benefits of practicing with recording everything. You can directly quote it later. And yes, today I am drinking again. It numbs the fury. No, it's not the smartest option, but fuck it. I'm taking a day off from life today. Now I'm wondering where that extra money has really been going. The details on it will go to my lawyer tomorrow, and I'm hoping it changes what I have to pay my wife. I don't want to give her any money at all now. If my kids need something, I'll buy the item, rather than give her cash. That one little thing, and she couldn't even let me have that. She didn't even have to admit her half of the inheritance, just tell me her sister was going to pay for my kids' school. She let me have all the burdens and stress and never put in a dime. She only works part-time at a dress shop, and still she hasn't put a penny of that income into our family ever since she got the job. I've let that slide to 6 years, because asking her for money to help with bills always started a huge fight, and I gave up. She always claimed she needed her own money, And it was always my money we used for paying the babysitter on the days she worked. She wouldn't even pay for that out of her precious funds. Now it turns out she has millions of her own money and couldn't even give her own son's college money. Greedy bitch was just going to let her sister pay and keep everything to herself and let me go insane still trying to figure out how to pay for college too. Unlivid. So, there's the latest. Thanks for listening.